us today. We're very excited to have you for another one of our webinar series. So great topic this time. It's going to be on cybersecurity. So we'll just wait a little bit, a couple minutes before we get started. So feel free to say hello in the chat. And greetings from San Diego, California. And Alfonso, you're at where? Temecula?
Yep, I'm up in the Temecula area. Yep.
And we're going to get started right at 11. So if you guys, we are going to cover networking as well. So I will drop my LinkedIn link in the chat and Alfonso's as well. So if you guys want to connect with each other, a lot of you guys are veteran or active duty folks that are looking to learn more about IT and the IT field, specifically cybersecurity today. Definitely want to connect with each other and learn and help each other on the networking side. So go ahead and drop your LinkedIn link in the chat if you feel comfortable with that. Also, just for a little fun, if you guys want to drop your location and your branch of service, that's always fun to find out as well. So location, branch of service, maybe a little bit about yourself and your LinkedIn link. That's just a great way to start getting to know one another. And we've got about 3 minutes till we get started. We haven't started, Jason. We're going to start right at 11. All right, so welcome Thomas, Courtney. Who else do we have here? Looks like Yelly, Jason, and quite a few more. We've got Hawaii here. Justin's over there. We got Jason in North Carolina. Justin. We've got, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Yelly from Los Angeles. Got Delissa right here in San Diego, Kyle in Ventura, Lewis from down in Mexico, and DeAndrea in Houston, Texas, Ryan in Dallas. That's awesome. We got people from all over here. In Denver, in Lake Elsinore. So he's right by you, Alfonso. All right, we are good to go. It's 11 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started. So once again, welcome everyone to our webinar today. We are very excited just to have some Q&A, go over a few things regarding some topics about IT that you guys are interested in. We'll go over a little bit about the company and a few more things, but yeah, Alfonso's actually been one of our guest speakers a couple times before. Today we're going to do more of like an introductory webinar, so there'll be kind of a broad scope and a lot more room for questions today. But we'll go ahead and get started. Thanks for joining us. We've got about 30 plus people in here. We did have over 130 people register, so it's a really good showing. I'm sure we're gonna have people pop in as we go. So Alfonso, let's go ahead and you can bring up the presentation if you haven't already.
Should be showing now. It's the first slide.
If you can see the presentation, go ahead and type yes in the chat just to make sure. So, all right, perfect. We got one. All right. All right, looks like we've got Joy. It's good. We're good. We're good. All right. So actually, let's go back to that title slide. Okay, perfect, perfect. So once again, we're going to go into Alfonso's background. He is our subject matter expert for today. I'm going to keep my introduction brief. Some of you guys have connected with me on LinkedIn and are wanting to get into the IT space either for training or for staffing. My name is Joshua Dominic Prado. I'm a Navy veteran, 10 years based here in San Diego, California. With CCS Global Tech and CCS Learning Academy. My background is actually not tech. I worked on helicopters and F-18s in the Navy, and then I got into pretty much every other industry except for tech as I got into this space. So if you're not, transitioning from tech, don't be worried. I mean, that's exactly what I was coming from. I wasn't an IT in the Navy. I wasn't proficient with programming, and I still am not. I'm actually more of an HR guy. So I got into more of tech recruiting, and I specialize in career path and program management and a few other things that have nothing to do with coding. So you guys are a lot probably more technically savvy than me. So you might have some great questions for Alfonso. If it's HR related or maybe business management, maybe I can field those. But today the highlight's going to be on Alfonso, so I'll go ahead and let him take it away. Let's do next slide.
Pretty much covered this slide already, Josh. Like Josh was saying, CCS Learning Academy, a great organization to further your certification and education background, especially for cybersecurity. What our agenda is today, we're just going to talk a little bit about who I am, where I come from, what my experiences were, how your military skills and experience will translate over to the private sector or public sector. What skills that you actually learned in military and how they apply your cybersecurity career pathway, which direction you want to actually take it, and those certifications and education that will support that. And then, of course, IT training, education, and employment resources is something that all veterans have plenty of, and you guys just need to take advantage of them. And then we're going to discuss networking. I will probably bring up networking throughout this entire presentation because that is the most important thing that you can do for your career. All right, a little bit about me. I have a 19-year Navy career. I did 2 years active, and the rest has been reserve, and I'm still currently a reservist. I'll hit 20 years this coming July, but I'll probably do 22 if I don't make chief. I'm currently a ET1 electronics technician, and I've thoroughly enjoyed my career. So I definitely want to thank you all for your service because it's something that only less than 1% of the United States, 1% of the population actually does step up to serve. And so thank you for your service. I spent 2 years overseas, one for Operation Iraqi Freedom when I was stationed in Kuwait, and then 1 year for Operation New Dawn where I was stationed in Dubai. Yes, it was a serious deployment. Dubai was a fun place, but it's definitely a lot of hard work. My educational background, I have a Bachelor of Science in Political Science, Florida A&M University. Go Rattlers. I did earn my MBA, my Master's of Business Administration, and my Master's of Information Systems. And then I'm currently studying, I'm trying to finish up my doctoral degree. I have completed all the courses. I just have to finish my dissertation now and defend it. So hopefully that'll happen in the coming year. As far as
Question, Alfonso.
certifications go, I do have my... Huh?
Where was your A school at for electronics?
My A school, when I first came in, I came in with my degree and with the educational background already. And so I didn't have to actually go to A school. I went straight to C school.
Oh,
So
wow. That's
I
lucky.
did
You're
my...
lucky.
Yeah, I did my boot camp was in Great Lakes, and then from Great Lakes I went to C school, and then I actually continued my career from there. Um, but yeah, I actually didn't go to A school. I did a lot of work prior to actually going to boot camp, and so a lot of that training and stuff that they accepted, so I didn't have to go directly to A school. Okay. My certifications, I do have CISSP and the Security Plus. And I also have a certification I got because I'm an RMF specialist. I do a lot of work for DoD with risk management framework. And so I attended a training and got a certification of DoD RMF practitioner. And those are the certifications that I currently hold. As my career progressed, I am a cybersecurity professional. I've been in information security, risk management, lifecycle management, and everything for about the past 15 years. I have experience under multiple components working cybersecurity under the Army, Navy, Air Force, the Coast Guard, DCSA, as well as DHRA. So multiple disciplines, pretty much the same thing when you talk about risk management framework. There may be different processes under each, but cybersecurity is cybersecurity no matter where you're working. But I also have experience in both the private sector and DoD. On the private sector, I've done a lot of networking, hardware support, all those things you do starting out in IT, pulling a cable through walls, all that. So I did start where everyone else did. You did have to learn it from the ground up. That's important when you come into cybersecurity, and we'll discuss that a little later. But I am a consultant. I'm president and CEO of my company, Alka IT Solutions, and we do both private sector and the public sector. So we support the DoD and all the RMF risk management framework. And we also provide cybersecurity services for a lot of small businesses, small to mid-sized businesses. So we do a lot of work on both sides. All right. Your military skill, all those IT skills learned in the military, will they translate to the private sector? So yes, those things that you learn, a lot of it you'll be surprised as they're a lot of what you do in the military is our best practices learned from the private sector. Uh, Most positions as you come into the private sector will require some soft skills, and those are the traits that a lot of employers look upon favorably. The military helps accelerate those development of those skills because you have to be able to hit the ground running. And so those of you that have served, you're in a unique position actually to leverage those soft skills. Uh, Employers are very supportive of VA veterans because veterans tend to be very successful in the workplace because of that discipline that comes from being in the military. And so you take those skills that you've learned with the military, uh, those IT skills and those soft skills, and you apply them to the private sector. And veterans are get preference a lot of times are preferred over the private sector. So they see those qualities and those skill sets that you bring from the military, and that discipline, that dedication, especially that team orientation, is what they look for. All right. The IT skills learned in the military, like such as coding, the knowledge of networks, all that stuff is very important because when you work as a cybersecurity expert or a network analyst or a network database administrator, network administrator, all those skills correlate into the corporate world. So those of you that have had roles in the military and utilize those skills, and then it's a plus if you also get that managerial experience. If you're E6, E7, E8, those managerial skills come in handy. Today's military forces, they focus a lot of the technology, a lot of those skill sets towards advanced digital systems. So those skill sets are excellent for you to go into the private sector because you have already had that exposure. Now, one thing that the military doesn't harp on or don't require as much, you get NECs. NECs are great. I have about 3 or 4 NECs from the Navy that translate into cybersecurity. And so those NECs, although they're not certifications that are recognized by the private sector, those NECs still bring with a lot of experience and exposure to systems and technologies that you wouldn't normally have. And so that's why you can leverage those experiences and leverage those NECs. I say NEC, I'm sorry, I know that's Navy. That's a Navy term. I'm not sure what they're called in the Army, Coast Guard, or anything, but NECs are basically your certifications, the courses that you go take. You go to the schoolhouse, it may take a few weeks, few months, and then once you pass that course, you're tested and you pass out of that course, then you receive an NEC. So this is like your specialty. So uh, taking those specialties with a little bit of education and training, you are a very well-rounded employee. I mean, you're somebody that you will be highly sought after because of those skill sets. So whether you go into the private sector or you decide to stay with DoD, those skill sets will translate. Just for an example, entry-level positions that are out there and that are available. You have cybersecurity specialists, which is specifically what I came into the DoD doing. Cybersecurity specialists, you basically take all those skill sets that you've learned in IT, all your networking skills, any programming or that skills that you may have learned, all those skills that apply to the networks. You have to have a thorough understanding of networking in order for you to be able to defend that network. And so coming in as a cybersecurity specialist will leverage those skill sets you've already learned. Of course, you also have network security technician, IT security analyst. A lot of those job titles are interchangeable. A lot of those responsibilities for those titles will actually bleed across those technical names or the specific titles of the position. So although you may be the cybersecurity specialist, you're going to be doing a lot of other stuff that the network security technician might do or IT security analyst might do. So although the title may change from position to position, a lot of the responsibilities may bleed across. So be aware of that. Now, for these specific positions that are listed, these are commonly held certifications. Not saying that you have to have all of these certifications in order to do the position. However, it's just that these certifications are just common certs that individuals in those positions tend to have. So CCNA security, for example, is somebody is a network, I guess, network specific, who does a lot of network technician like work. They would have CCNA and go into and get their CCNA security. But if you're not specifically doing IT specialist work, you may get your Security Plus instead. And those are looked at, depending on the position you're applying for, interchangeably. And then your CEH and your SSCP, those are other certifications that individuals earn that, may fill those positions. As you see, mid-level and senior level, the position names change somewhat. Cybersecurity consultant, network security engineer, system security administrator, penetration tester. And you see that the certs increase up to the CEH, CISA, CISSP, CISM. And I know I'm throwing out a lot of acronyms, but we'll talk about certs specifically a little bit later. But these are certs that for those type of positions, and even in the military, because I know the military does not require you to go out and get these certs, but some of the positions in the NECs or the technical specifications needed for the billets you fill may have those skill sets. And so you may not have the certification that the industry recognizes, but you may have the skill sets already that those certifications represent. And so don't ever think that because you don't have a cert, you can't apply for a position. You have skill sets coming from your military background that may fulfill what's needed as far as that cert is required. And so when you actually on your resumes and when you interview and when you get in front of these hiring managers, highlight your NECs or your specialties that you actually learned in the military, because those skill sets are what they're looking for. All that a certification says is that you've had exposure to this certain type of tech, this technology. But your NEC and your experience in the military says the same thing. So don't ever feel that because you see a requirement for a certification that you don't qualify for the job. You're probably more than qualified for it because of your exposure in the military. So
Yeah, and
if you have
from a
any
recruiting
questions about that,
standpoint,
I'll be happy to answer.
yeah, from a recruiting standpoint, we look at who has the certification, who has the applied knowledge, and who has the functional or working knowledge as well. So even though you may not have the cert, you can, easily take a test or you can easily sign up for the course and get the certification. We understand that. So it's not like it's a hard line all the time. Just whoever is going to be doing the hiring may put that as a qualification up front. So it's always better to have it than to not have it. But if you don't have it right now, or if you're looking for jobs and you think you're close, or you think you already have the skills, you can apply for certain things without the certifications. It just definitely helps to have them, as we mentioned. But there's a difference between practical, functional, working knowledge, applied experience. Those are the different terminology that we use that may cover that without the, you can say, hey, he doesn't have CCNA, but he has applied knowledge, he has functional experience. Those are the types of terminology. And I can go over that we have a separate webinar coming up for Straight Talk from a recruiter, which I'll cover kind of our point of view. So that's not really the focus here, but just know, if you don't have it, don't worry. You may have done that. You may have secured a perimeter as somebody who is an infantry guy. Okay, if you secured a perimeter, you may have the applied knowledge to secure a perimeter versus securing a network. So once again, you can use those analogies as well, even if you were not an IT person in the military, which many of us were not.
That is so true. And in addition, I see a bunch of questions coming across. I am specifically, I am talking about a lot. I know about the Navy when I mentioned the NECs, but these skill sets are also held. I work with the Marine Corps as well, and I don't know what the title of their certs are or their training program is, but we actually a lot of things when I say NEC, that is Navy specific, but don't take it as the other branches don't have similar similar training, because that's not true. They do. especially work with the Marine Corps. I know they have it. The Air Force has it definitely, and so does the Coast Guard. So when I say something specifically to the Navy, because that's my background, um, I, I'm not trying to leave out the other branches. All the branches have similar training. They just call them different things or different specialties. Um, as far as the higher positions, your mid-level or senior level, you said there was a question is, does that mean that they assume you already have like the CCNA security or the security plus? Well, dependent upon the position, if you have a higher cert than security plus, like if you walk in with CISSP, they're not going to ask you if you have security plus. Security Plus for DoD, now I'm saying DoD only, is if you're getting the cybersecurity, the Security Plus is the minimum requirement. You have to at least have Security Plus to get into cybersecurity with DoD. Now, private sector is a little different because private sector can require anything they want. It's their organization. So they may just want you to have certain experience, not necessarily a certification. Uh, when you're talking DoD and you're talking government, they do tend to weigh more heavily the certification side of it because they want you to be able to just to show that you have that experience, that you have that the minimum qualification. And so what happens a lot, even if you don't have it and you apply for the position, what they will do is they will give you have 6 months to earn the certification. They'll hire you because of your experience, but because there is a requirement, they will give you time to actually earn that certification. And a lot of times they'll pay for it. So depending on who you're being hired by and what position you're being hired for, in cybersecurity for DoD, I can say that the minimum requirement is it's either it's your security plus or an equivalent. I will say that it's or an equivalent because there are other certification like even CCNA security, they will take that as an equivalent to your security plus. Okay. Next slide here just shows you uh, there's many opportunities for workers in cybersecurity and in IT. So when you're looking for a career pathway, basically you want to see where they start and measure your experience, where you stand in that. So if you're entry level, you start off in networking or systems engineering, that's the background you need to have to get into security, to cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is the culmination of those core skills. You have to understand networking. You have to understand how routers block and receive traffic and how they protect your networks. You need to understand segmentation, all those things that are IT centric. You have to have an understanding of those things in order to do cybersecurity. Cybersecurity brings in a lot of other things, such as there's a lot of policy involved. So when you get into cybersecurity, depending on whether you stay on the network side, because if you want to be the one that's securing the network, hands-on, you're building networks, designing networks, and you have to keep in mind all the cybersecurity responsibilities that are involved with that network. And so, especially depending upon what the mission of that network is, whether if it's DoD, then it's going to have a mission. There's a certain reason why this network is being designed and created. And so, with that in mind, what level of security does it have to have? Is it going to be a classified network or is it going to be unclassified network? All those things are weighed in when they're designing these networks. And so your experience level will dictate where you come in as far as your entry level into DoD. And so you have here entry-level DoD cybersecurity specialists and showing the average salary and everything. And that's a national thing. Of course, if you're in California or if you're in Florida or you're in the Midwest, it will depend on the area where you are, where that average salary would be. But in higher paying areas like New York, California, even like Hawaii, the entry-level pay rate will be a little bit higher. So, but the cybersecurity specialist technician, as far as job openings, cybersecurity, there are so many jobs available that there are not enough people to fill them. So cybersecurity is booming, as you guys can see after what's happened in our country with with the hacks that are happening, and you have governments that are hacking into these systems, and so cybersecurity is at the top of the list as far as opportunities. And so if you come in, remember, I believe in luck. I'm a big believer in luck. And luck is defined as preparation meets opportunity. So if you prepare yourself, even before you get out of active duty, if you start trying to prepare yourself as far as the skill sets that you're learning, you, that preparation, when that opportunity comes, is going to make you the it's going to give you the opportunity to actually step into one of these positions after your career is over, after you end your military career. So if you prepare and you're doing those things, and whether you're earning certifications or NECs or specialties or whatever it's called in your branch, if you're preparing yourself, those opportunities will be there. And how you find those opportunities, we'll discuss a little bit later. But they are there. And because of the way that cybersecurity has grown over the years, because every single, I don't care what industry it is, every industry has cybersecurity needs, whether it's medical, whether it's law, government, it doesn't matter. Everyone has sensitive information that has to be protected. And so that's why cybersecurity, no matter what industry you bring up, they have the need. And so there are many positions that go unfilled because they do not have qualified personnel applying for those positions. All right, let me go to the next one because I'll talk about that forever. This is your certification path. We talked a little bit earlier about having those core fundamental skills. A plus, security plus, network plus, cloud plus, ITIL. Those core skills are what you build on in order to have a successful cybersecurity career. You got to have those skills because you have to understand how computers work, how networks work, how they communicate with one another, how information is passed from one system to another, how your system here in San Diego can pass information over to Korea without, in the blink of an eye. And how do you protect that information from anybody in between seeing it? Those are things that you have to understand before you can move into cybersecurity. So you start with your core skills and make sure you have those. And if you guys are getting ready to get out the military, you probably already have a lot of these core skills. And you move up into the different certs as you specialize, as you figure out what route you want to take with your career. And you want to specialize, especially in cybersecurity, because cybersecurity is broad. I mean, you can say, you say cybersecurity, that doesn't tell me what you actually do, because you could do anything within it. You could be a cybersecurity engineer building networks and designing networks, or you could be a cybersecurity specialist who does nothing but do the policy part of it, making sure that systems are being used correctly. I mean, there's so many opportunities within cybersecurity that you could do a different thing every year and still not do the same thing twice. So it's very wide specialty, very wide career choice. So making sure that you earn those certifications and you get those skill sets in the path that you want to take. So you want to make sure, and you figure this out. Yeah, this diagram is a great one that shows you what certifications are there. But what you really want to do is you have to reach out to individuals who are doing the job that you want to do. And that's all part of networking. So you want to reach out. So what did you do to get to the position that you are in? Finding mentors. That's something that the military does very well at. When you come into the military, you come into a new location, there's always going to be somebody assigned to you to help you figure out what's going on in that place, because they're not going to just leave you out hanging out to dry. And so having that mentor, someone that can show you the way, is very important. So whether you want if you want to stay hands-on in cybersecurity, or if you want to go into management, whatever it is that you want to do, make sure that you find that mentor that can help guide you. And I know, Josh does a lot of that because he's very good at finding your niche, looking at your skill sets and helping you to find that direction that you want to go. And I know CCS provides a lot of those trainings and certifications that help you to mold your career and get on that path that you want to take. That's all right. As far as a degree goes, as far as a cybersecurity degree, or back when I started, I'm not going to say what year, but back when I started and I got my first degree, they didn't have cybersecurity degrees. They didn't have all this digital forensics and all these other specialties that you could take. When I went to college, if you did anything IT, you got a computer science degree, and that was it. It didn't matter if you were a developer. It didn't matter if you wanted to go IT, if you want to be IT administrator, network administrator. It didn't matter. You got a computer science degree. But there's a lot of different degrees out there now in IT that you can take different specialties. But do I think that it's necessary for you to have a degree in order to get into a cybersecurity career? It's not necessary. It's not required. You don't have to have a degree, a 4-year degree, in order to get into cybersecurity. You can have a very successful career without it, but you will be limiting yourself. If you have a cybersecurity degree or an IT degree in some IT area, you are going to have 600% more opportunities out there, 600% more, because you have that 4-year degree. And what it also does, having a 4-year degree also justifies that organization to pay you a little bit more money. So there is reason to have that degree. If you don't have it, you still can have a successful career. You can still make good money. But having that degree will also boost your opportunities, as well as it will unlock the earning potential that you have. So it's a good thing to have that STEM degree.
Oh, real
So
quick, Alfonso,
I'm not going to harp on it.
I think the slide is stuck on the last one. The diagram hasn't popped up. Maybe it's a delay on my side from the, I still have the entry level, mid level.
Let me see. Does everybody? Does anybody? Let me see. I'll change it again.
It might be a delay on my side. Okay. Okay. So I guess it's on my side. It's just a delay. You're good to go.
Okay. It should be on. Actually, is a cybersecurity degree worth it? That's the name of the slide. I don't know if anybody can. You guys see it? Okay. Just throw a few yeses in the chat. Okay.
You're good to go.
Okay. Yep, Josh, it's on your side, buddy. I, I think we have to upgrade your connection there. Get you 1 gig in there. But for this slide, because I was about to go to the next one, my personal answer is yes. A cybersecurity degree is definitely worth it. All right, here's a couple of degree paths. If you don't yet have your bachelor's degree, then you have cybersecurity, you have forensics and digital investigations. Just check out. There's a lot of schools out there offering cybersecurity degrees now. Uh, like I said, this didn't exist back in my day. And plus, my bachelor's degree is in political science. So I wasn't even thinking about cybersecurity back then. But you have your bachelor's degrees, then you have your master's degrees, and the same thing. And then there's also many certifications that you can add on to your degree if you already have one that will help you to show that you have advanced knowledge in cybersecurity as well. So there's many programs out there, bachelor's, master's programs, even doctoral programs. And there's also certifications out there as far as pushing your knowledge forward. Because technology, to be honest, I never wanted to work in IT because of how fast technology changes. I mean, until I worked in a lot of different areas before even coming to IT. I used to be an insurance underwriter. So I used to underwrite boats and yachts. That's what I was doing before I just fell into IT. So it is a great field to be in, and there's a lot of opportunity. And so now the actual education reflects that because the need is so great. schools, educators, I mean, brick and mortar schools, online schools, all of them have developed programs to help you to get advanced degrees in cybersecurity. So take advantage of those opportunities, especially because as a member of the military, as a veteran, you have those programs available to you to help you get your education. So utilize those programs and definitely push your opportunities, open up your opportunities to earn those degrees. But in the meantime, while you're not in school, you definitely should continue to work, get those certifications, utilize CCS Learning Academy and others to actually get those certifications because they're available. The training's there. Take advantage of it. Uh, Probably the most important slide on there. And I know Josh has a lot to say about this networking thing, but anybody you meet in your career that's in IT, studying IT, going to be in IT, uh, anybody that you meet in the grocery store, online, utilize everything available to you and always network because you never know where your opportunity is going to come. So all this preparation that you're doing, all this preparation that you're doing to get yourself ready for the private sector or the public sector, when you get at the end of your military career, you want to make sure that you keep those opportunities open because you never know who's going to be the one to point you in the right direction to start your career off in cybersecurity. LinkedIn is probably my favorite website of all time, because LinkedIn has brought me so much opportunity just because, I have my information out there and I get contacted all the time regarding opportunities to teach, to work as far as my company, opportunities to help them to expand their networks and to protect their networks. I mean, it's amazing how instead of going to the phone book like it did back, in my day, back in the 80s, 90s, now you go online. You either find their websites to get the information or you're going on LinkedIn trying to find individuals with those skill sets. And that's how a lot of folks are finding opportunities because they're networking like crazy. And for you guys, when you get out of the military, find somebody on LinkedIn that has that career set, that the career that you want, where you want to get to. Find that person online and pick their brain. I mean, people will be happy to share their wisdom with you of how they got to where they are. So one thing that you need to know is where you want to go, what you want to do. If you're not sure, find a couple people in areas that you like, that you want to perhaps entertain, or you want to get more information. So reach out to those individuals because that's how you're going to find your niche, and that's how you're going to find out those requirements to get into that position one day. And so your path may not be mapped out on some slide, or it may not, some school may not have the career path that you want to actually go through. And so you networking, getting out there, meeting people and talking to people about your opportunities and your options, that is what's going to help you to get to where you want to go. So network, always network. You don't have to be shy now because you can do it behind a keyboard. So if you're a shy person, don't like to walk up to individuals, that's understandable. You can network online now without having to actually be in front of someone. So be a keyboard warrior. Go out there and network. That's the most important thing you can do for your career. And for me, that's my secret to my success, because networking has brought me more opportunity than any application or job I've walked in trying to apply for. It's been networking through LinkedIn and through individuals that I've come into contact throughout my career. And so that's how you're going to find your opportunities. Prepare for them, do all the preparation, get the certifications, the education, whatever you need to do to prepare. So when those opportunities come, you can walk into the career that you want to have in cybersecurity. I know, Josh, I know I talk a lot. You better jump in.
No, no, no. I mean, this is the point that we wanted to make sure that we got across. Is it's not just the Of course, going back and through this presentation, there are a lot of good points, as you mentioned, the skills that you get out of the military. A lot of companies and a lot of military recruiters or recruiting departments are going to baseline assume that you are a motivated team leader, self-starter, that you're, there to get things done, be more efficient. Those things are going to be a given from your military background, so that you at least start off with that baseline. Now, when it comes to getting the right technical skills, from getting the certifications or going to school or doing the hands-on, that's where we're trying to have folks understand that, taking that job description that the hiring managers put out and reverse engineering that, that's going to be a lot of times your particular career path. So that's what I specialize in, whether it be for cybersecurity or for network administration or for it could be for operations management or something like that. But all you're really doing, in terms of like, how do I get to that path is, well, you're reverse engineering from generally a set of job descriptions that are out there. A lot of cybersecurity specialists in one place, whether it's government or commercial, is going to look the same as somebody, somewhere else. It's not going to be totally off. It might be 80, 90% the same, with maybe one particular software or system that you're familiar with. So you really want to do is make sure you cover the breadth as much as possible. I mean, not, you're not going to be 100% of every job description. Otherwise, they wouldn't put out the job description. So there are going to be some variables in there, like you mentioned, the certifications or things on there. But going back, like a lot of that doesn't really matter unless you connect with somebody. So this is where I specialize in. I do entire webinars and entire lectures on networking because the power of LinkedIn is what's important, especially now. A lot of us are stuck at home, with this pandemic going on. Connect online. That's the thing, is that it's not just putting. I know this is beating a dead horse, but it's not just putting your resume into the pile. It's connecting to the company, following the company on LinkedIn, following all the recruiters that are available on there, following the recruitment managers like myself who are going to see, shortlist those resumes. I don't have time to look at 500 of them. So how do you stand out from the pack is going to be, how often you're connecting on LinkedIn, if you're sending messages, if you're sending emails. A lot of people are very, very accessible, especially military to military. So, I know that not everybody in the webinars, prior military or maybe they're civilian, but, this goes true for everybody, is that there's not one person you connect to get the job. So even my job, how did I get my job? It was connecting to people, connecting to another person, volunteering, like all these different things that, may not be the linear path of, okay, let me apply for that job, send my resume, and then somebody's supposed to magically think that I'm the greatest thing in the world. No, there's the hiring manager, there's the recruiter, there's another person that has recommended you from the past. So getting a letter of recommendation. There's people you've worked with before. Like, we start to reverse engineer backwards towards you to figure out if all the things that you say on your resume are legitimate. So, as you befriend people, as you make, connections in this space, especially with IT and contract work, there's going to be people who Alfonso has worked with in the past, who he's connected with on LinkedIn, that he's recommended or maybe did a letter of recommendation. That's where the power of networking comes together, is that maybe you're, 12 cybersecurity professionals who continue to get contracts and continue to really, build their skill sets, and the other ones are just kind of trying to figure it out on your own. So work together, connect with each other, even on this particular thing, and learn from each other. We're trying to give you as much as possible in this 1 hour, but you guys can talk to each other on the phone, as much as I can or Alfonso can. We can get back to you. It's a little harder just with the volume sometimes, especially with the positions that we're trying to fill, or the initiatives that we have. Although I will shout out one resource called Veterati. I'll leave it in the chat. It's a digital mentorship program where you can just literally book an appointment with somebody, with a veteran, anywhere in the US, and it automatically calls your phone and you get an hour phone call for free. So it's like digital online mentorship for veterans. It's called veterati.com. It's super amazing. So I'm on there, and a lot of other mentors are on there. So you can actually just book an appointment through there without having to like message us on email or LinkedIn, because sometimes I can't get to every single one of those, and maybe you can book an appointment. But as much as we can. Once again, we want to just emphasize those things. Is you have soft skills from the military, you have, or from somewhere else, you have technical skills. CCS Learning Academy, we do have courses. We don't have degree programs. We do have certifications and trainings that you can take. So we'll go over those here in a few. But it's a combination of all those things, and especially the networking piece. That we're all you guys. There's 30, 100. There's a lot of people on this particular Zoom meeting right now. And I hope you guys connect with each other and connect with us. And we'll answer some questions that you have from the technical aspect. But we're just glad you're here and connecting with you guys. It's not like we're disconnected. The military aspect brings us close together. If you see veteran on somebody's LinkedIn, I'm like automatically going to connect with them. I'm not going to question it. And that's something that we have in our particular group that is a kind of a niche thing. So go ahead, Alfonso. I'll go ahead and, like I said, I can talk about that all day. I go to the bases or I go do webinars, and like the whole thing is about networking. But on the technical aspect, sometimes I have no clue how to do what you do. So, I'll make sure that you get the subject matter expert time in. So thanks a lot.
Definitely. I know, and networking is the secret, you guys. Networking is the way that you're going to find that opportunity. Prepare yourself through certifications and education, but you have to network in order to find opportunities that you want to grow and to get that position, that career in cybersecurity that you're looking for. It doesn't matter your background. It doesn't matter if you're military or non-military. You have to prepare yourself for that next step. And so whether if you don't have enough education or enough, you don't have enough experience in IT itself, you don't understand how networks are actually work. You may have experience utilizing systems as a user, but you don't have that background in networking. Well, then you have to prepare. You have to start taking those courses. You have to go out there and start studying. You can have an entire IT career based on self-study. I mean, but organizations are looking for something that will show that you have met certain standards of understanding. So that's why they look for those certifications. That's why they look for that degree. So, make sure that you prepare yourself for that career. You start networking so that you find those opportunities, and then you'll get lucky and find what you've been looking for because you prepared and you've actually networked and found those opportunities. And so I know I'm gonna stop harping on that, but that is the key to, I don't care who you are, I don't care what your background is, whether you're a veteran or never been in the military. If you prepare yourself, whether through certifications, education, and you will find that opportunity. You just have to get out there and prepare for it. Now, my last slide here, I think, the summary. Military skills do translate to the private sector. Don't ever think they don't, because the soft skills that you learn in the military with your leadership and your teamwork, and having to deal or be in situations that uh, ordinary people never will experience, that is what will prepare you for the private sector and for those positions, those jobs. Those soft skills will translate. And without question, those technical skills you learn in the military will also translate. It doesn't matter what type of system you've dealt with in the military. If you were the admin for that system, you have skill sets, you understand technology. Most jobs that you will get, you will deal with a system that you've never dealt with before. So there's always going to be on the job training, OJT. OJT is our best friend. The thing is, you just have to have that preparation, that background, that you've actually done these type of things before. It doesn't matter if it's the same system or the same software, the same application. The fact that you've done it in the past shows that you have that the acumen to understand technology and be able to work with it. So those skills will translate. Also, the cybersecurity career path, you have to make sure of what it is that what you want to do so that you take those certs to help you along that path. Now, if you just take a whole lot of certifications, and you may end up with a lot of certifications that you don't need in order to do that career that you're trying to get to. So make sure that you look at your career path. Make sure you talk to others who are actually in that path that you want to get to, and make sure you're doing the certifications, you're taking the courses, and getting the education for that career path. because otherwise, because of the wide breadth of cybersecurity and IT in general, you could be earning a lot of certifications that aren't going to help you along that career path. So certifications and education are important. You just have to be very selective as to what you're going to earn to get you down that road. And as a veteran, there are plenty of resources out there that are going to help you get those certs and get that education. So take advantage of them. If you don't know where to go, you don't know how to get them, make sure you contact someone. Call Josh. Josh knows. Josh can help you find those resources and help you get those certifications and get you along that path. And more than anything else, network, network, network. Find so that you can know with certainty what you need to learn, what education you need to have, what certifications you need to have to find your way along that cybersecurity career path that you want. And so that's all the material I have for you guys today. But I definitely enjoy talking to you guys and look forward to your questions.
Yeah, thanks, Alfonso, for that information. So now we can really make it personal for you guys who joined today. So I'm actually going to go over a few questions, and Alfonso, if you could help maybe answer those in the best way possible. And as far as calling me on that, like I said, I'm going to say go reverse engineer from the job description itself. I mean, that's going to really tell you what you need to get as far as what your certification or training requires. And some of these questions are actually about that. So we'll start off. I think we've definitely got time to answer the questions that people have put into the Q&A. We've got one question. It says, I have a few degrees in IT, BSIT and MSIT. However, the only cert I have is an old A plus from around 2001. I've worked in customer and tech support for over 10 years. What would be your opinion on that, Alfonso? I'm gonna say
You have the education.
then I mean, if it's over 10 years from 2001, it's 2020, about to be 2021. And just from, like I said, my basic understanding of the tech field is you always have to be learning, you always have to be up to date on certs. I'm sorry if that's super, straightforward, but that's how I do things. That's how military folks like to hear it. So, you may have that experience and that does count for something. I would look at that resume, I would look at that profile, and it will say, this person has the experience to do the job. However, there may be somebody to the left or the right of me that is the hiring manager or the program manager or something else, and might just say like 2001 is the last cert that he got. So that would be kind of going through my head. I don't, from your perspective, what would it be?
From my perspective, the certification, and there's a lot of folks that are out there working that haven't earned a certification in 10, 15 years, but they've been working in that position. They've been cybersecurity engineers. I mean, there's a lot of old school knowledge out there who've been in IT since the 90s or before that may not have earned a cert since Novell. I don't know if you guys remember Novell, but back in the 90s, Novell was the networking technology that you wanted to have that certification because they were getting paid well for it. But your experience is important. And if you, now we're talking private sector here, because if you're DOD, if you want to go out and get a DOD position, and your last cert was A plus from 2001, I think it was, then yeah, you're going to have to actually go out there and earn a few more certs. You may get hired, but you're going to have a stipulation. Okay, you have to earn the Security Plus by this date. You have to earn the CISSP for this date, depending on the position you're being hired for. That experience of 10 years experience is important. It's very important. And in the private sector, experience is what counts. Certifications, whether you have earned a recent cert or depending on what kind of technology they utilize at that organization, that's what's going to dictate whether you get hired or not. Because if you haven't had a cert since 2001, you've been working in customer service and tech support, but you're applying for an IT administrator position that you have to do you have to utilize cloud technology, or you have to do virtual machines, and you have no experience in that or certs in that, then you're not likely going to get that position. So depending on what you're trying to apply, if you want to stay in customer service, then you have the experience for it. Yeah, somebody will hire you for customer service. But if you're trying to go into something a little bit more tech savvy, that's going to require you to do things that you don't have in your experience, then your chances of being hired for that position are a lot lower because you don't have experience nor certs in that technology.
So yeah, and Alfonso, I want to make sure we do get through some of the questions. So I may have to cut you short on some of these, but yeah, I mean, I appreciate your input on that. But once again, I think we're also talking about maintenance of your skill sets and maintenance of your marketability for other people to recruit you or pull you to another contract, as well as somebody. Charles may be speaking of just going to get a job. So that's a different story as well. If you're just trying to get a job right now, you don't have one, then you want to be as marketable as possible. And so you want to be as up to date as possible. If you already are in a job and you're maintaining that job and you're also trying to build your skill sets and go up the ladder, then that's a different story. But either way, we're going back here. CCS Learning Academy does have these certifications and courses for you. We'll definitely connect with you on in terms of if you need these things, what the pricing is, or maybe special pricing for your situation, whether you're active duty veteran or civilian as well. So I'm going to go to the next question here. It's any training programs or schools you'd recommend that you would advise to stay away from for whatever reason. I think I'll keep that outside of the webinar because that might be personal opinion experience. I've been in the veteran space for quite a while. So whether it's nonprofit programs or tech schools, I could give you my unbiased opinion. But once again, we want to keep the focus on what we have here. But I'd be more than happy to tell you, what my personal experience is, or maybe Alfonso, offline. So the next one is say I get a cybersecurity job through certs and networking. Should I still pursue getting my bachelor's in my free time? I'm a big proponent of education. I'm just going to answer that myself. Yes. The more education you have, you're not going to go wrong with that. So especially if it's paid for by the military or a grant or whatever, more school is always better. That's far enough. We go after that. So keep going to school. I didn't stop going to school. I went to school for 6 years straight, actually 8 years straight, since I was 24 to get all my degrees. And I went to college for like one semester before I joined the military. So, and I wouldn't even say like, I'm not a school person. I just, it was free. So go to school. So let's see if we got another one here. How difficult is it to transition from working as a DoD contractor in cybersecurity to the private sector? That's a good one for you, Alfonso. I can't answer that one. Maybe you can help me out with that one. DoD contractor to the private sector.
It's not difficult at all. One thing that I will say, just give you a prime example. I had a student of mine. I teach a CYSA plus course, and she was a DoD worker. She came out of the Navy. She worked up until she was a cybersecurity engineer for DoD, and she went and applied for a job with Sony. And Sony actually, they hired her. I mean, they hired her because she had the skill sets. She had just earned her CYSA, that cybersecurity analyst certification, because this was for the Sony Security Operations Center. And so if you have the skill sets, and like I'll keep harping on, if you prepare yourself for it, making a transition from DoD to private sector, there's no difficulty there if you have the skill sets. If they're looking for somebody with cybersecurity or CISSP, or they want experience in virtual machines and whatever it is, and you have that skill set, you will get hired. It's not difficult to go from. Now, if you've been military your entire life and you're used to a certain, well, I'll keep that to myself, but there's not a difficulty in moving from the military or from DoD over to the private sector, because in both of them, what you'll find is that you're probably a little bit more high paced in the private sector because they have a little bit more money and they can just change their technology at any time. You have processes to go through for acquisitions and things of that nature with DoD. But in the private sector, they can move from one technology to the next really quickly if they want to spend the money. So it's all different emphasis as far as the private sector to the pub to DoD, but and translating going from one to the other, if you're prepared for it, it won't be a problem for you.
All right, perfect. We got another one here from Hector. It says, could pursuing several core skills certs be a waste of time? Meaning, would a hiring manager see I have A plus, network plus, cloud plus, and or security plus, and assume my knowledge goes wide but not necessarily deep in one specific domain? So I'll just chime in real quick on that one. It wouldn't be a waste of time, being that a lot of times the hiring manager is, he may determine, or maybe above his level may determine what is required for that job and what ends up on that job description that the recruiters go trying to find the right perfect match for that. So, if A plus is on there and every time you see the job A plus, A plus, A plus, well, if you don't have A plus, whether or not you have minimal knowledge or you have deep knowledge, if you don't have it at all, then it's not a waste of time because you're not going to register on the radar. The ATS systems and the recruitment systems are not just going out there, and it's not just an automated system. There's also manual systems, which are actually people. Like if I get a job description, a custom job description from somebody that says, I want a cybersecurity person that does this, and this. Well, then I'm actually going to assign a person to go find those things. And if you're 100% matched to that job description, whether it's ran through an ATS system or if I'm just looking at your resume and I look at to the left screen and to the right screen and it says A plus and you don't have A plus, then you're going to be your percentage of match to that. It's just like match.com. Your percentage of match to that job description goes down. So, if you want to make sure your percentage is always high, then, I mean, with the IT sector, you see people with millions of, or not millions, but you see people with tons and tons of acronyms after the name and tons of certs. Well, each one of those things comes up on a percentage. If I were to just eyeball it and say this person is a 75% match for this job, or this person is 100% or 110%, maybe they have more qualifications than the job asks for. So remember, they're looking for that match. They're looking for that match based on that job description. And if A plus is part of it, then it's not going to be a waste of time, especially if you keep seeing it as a trend every single one of these positions. A lot of times the federal and the state and government requirements, a lot of times they've got stuff on there where maybe these people are saying, I don't need to have Sec plus, or I don't need A plus because I have CISSP or I have something that's way beyond that. But if you keep seeing it, then you're reducing the amount of chance that you're a match for that. So you were 100%, now you're like 80% because you don't have A plus, even though you may think it's something that you're way past. But it's gonna maybe not shortlist you. So you definitely want to get as many certs as possible. Let's see. We've got one more here. It says, I'm in the preparation phase prior to separating from the Navy. Took courses in A plus and Net plus and secure currently in Sec plus. I haven't passed any certifications yet, and maybe IT is not my thing, but I think that I could learn OJT. Wish there were some train to hire programs. Any you know of? I'm an HR professional currently with a BSBA in HRM. So transitioning, into the tech sector, yeah, there are programs, we actually offer them as well here at CCS. We do have CCS Learning Academy as a training, platform. It's a training, organization, and then CCS Global Tech, we do have staffing as well. So sometimes they're totally on two different silos, and sometimes they may work hand in hand depending on what you're looking at transitioning into. So, there are some probably train to hire programs out there, but a lot of times those two things are totally separate. You've got placement, you've got training. CCS, it actually has both. So, if there's a way that we can kind of connect those two, whether it's formally or informally, we can kind of see what you're looking to transition into and how that might work, because we consistently get contract work from the government, our government clients, and, week to week there's openings. And maybe if you want to get into that space, where you're somebody that we can consider for those contracts and we can submit your profile, then we do need to make sure that your training is where it needs to be. So to answer that, I think we got time for one more. It's already a little past time here, and I hope you guys got most of the questions answered that you could. CCS accept 9/11 GI benefits. Currently, we are not a post 9/11, we're not a university. We are like a training provider. So we provide training to the government, to the commercial sector, to civilians, and to veterans. We do have discounts for that as well. Maybe there also are some nonprofits that maybe actually back you via grant. So we could talk about that separately depending on which cert that you need. Some of them, a lot of nonprofits actually sponsor veterans to go to school for certain certs, and you could actually apply those grants maybe over to CCS, and you can pay for it that way, whether it's like Sec Plus or something like that. So or CISSP. So let's see if there's anything else I didn't cover. I mean, that was the majority of the questions that I have here. Maybe if there's anything else in the chat, we'll take one last one and then think we'll wrap up for today. But if you guys are interested, we'll maybe do some more of these webinars, and hopefully we can get some more questions answered on this that a lot of people are asking about, especially with the influx of people wanting to be in the tech sector, especially with remote work and this COVID pandemic. So we want to be able to just be a resource to you and not just be behind the screen. If we can help you guys out and learn these things or find out this information, we'll be bringing more guest speakers and more topics to you. So let us know what we can do. If you think it's something that is of value and maybe more people can find out about this, really, really would love to know that. So appreciate it, Thomas. You said, love this webinar. Would love to see more. So we can get a series going. We did have some really topical webinars in the past, and they were a little bit more like deep dive. So it was only specific people who would go to these webinars, but this one seems a little bit more broad, and I think we get a lot more covered in regards to this. So we want to just, number one, thank you guys for coming today. We'll feel free to message us, connect with us on LinkedIn. We've got everything in the chat there, but once again, we really appreciate your time. I mean, your time is very valuable. We'd love to get more questions answered on the next one. And Alfonso, we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. Thanks so much.
Yep, thank you for your attention, everyone.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.